I would say 3D environment can be divided into two like main pieces. One of them is of course props. Like you need to be good at creating props, right? Like if I tell you, hey, I need you to make a wagon, you should be able to do it. And that's why it's one of those like tricky things, but that's why I always tell people, once you are a modeler, like once you know how to model and texture properly, you can pivot very easily between like a lot of different like disciplines. So I would expect any character artist worth its weight to be able to model and texture something like this. Like if you're a character artist and you can do like badass characters, you should be able to do props like this. If you're a prop artist, it might not be as easy to do a character because anatomy is something that you don't learn too much about when doing environments, right? But again, if you're a good modeler, a good texture artist, you should be able to do it. Now, for environments though, like when I think about environments, I don't think about this props. This to me is a prop artist or a modeler. This is what I think about when I think about environments. So environments, you need to know a little bit more about tileable textures, you need to know about trim sheets, you need to know about landscapes, you need to know about vertex painting, you need to know about foliage, you need to know about, what else? Like, well, of course, illumination and things like that, fog, like all of the things that make a big environment, right? Of course, you're going to be using a lot of techniques that you would normally do as a modeler, like kits. You're going to be building kits. You're going to be building fences. You're going to be building walls and things like that. But it's not the same thing, right? Like it's not the same thing for me to ask someone to model this thing, for instance, which is a lot of modeling and sculpting, than it is for me to tell someone to make this piece right here. Because this piece requires other types of skill that something like this will do. So it's very dependent on the project, I would say. But how can you start? Try learning a little bit about tileable textures. Try doing a small scenario, like something like this, for instance. This is a great example. Like just an alleyway, and try to optimize it for games. Like how many assets are you gonna reuse? How many tileable textures are you gonna be using? Are you gonna be using vertex painting? Are you gonna be using decals? Are you gonna be using global illumination, baked lightning, or like try to learn how to get to something like this, to like an alleyway, and that's a good way to get started. Then you start pivoting into more like complex stuff, because something like this, again, it might look super cool, but it takes time, and it's not the same thing to do this environment for a render that you can spend, I don't know, 20 hours rendering a single frame than it is to do for the games, for games where you need to really optimize the whole thing. So yeah, I would say that that's one of the things that you might need to think about, Super Monkey, when doing 3D arts. And Luke, oh man, some of these names, man. Luke Schwarvaran. I'm just gonna call you Lucky. Lucky is asking, what is the proper way to learn anatomy for face sculpting? Forms and planes of the face. So this right here. So every single object in the world can be sort of like voxelized and simplified into planes that catch the light and allow you to, well, sculpt pretty much anything. And I've seen some people go really minimalistic with this sort of like head studies, and some people that go really fancy with them. Like for instance, this one, it's a very nice one, but it's a very fancy one. Like there's a lot of planes on this one, so it can definitely be a little bit complicated to get there. But if you start going a little bit simpler, like this, for instance, okay, if you understand the main planes of the face, then it's very easy to go from this planes right here to the forms of the character, to the soft shapes and to the subtle changes in forms and volumes. So that's actually one of John Brown's techniques. He teaches you how to sculpt a face, and we start with cuts, just like 90-degree cuts, 45-degree cuts, like very sharp cuts on the elements, and from there we jump into polishing the face and adding all of the muscles and the volumes. And that's the thing about anatomy, guys. When you're learning anatomy in the 3D world, anatomy is not about knowing the names of the muscles or knowing the names of the bones and everything like that. It's important. It's useful knowledge. But the main thing about anatomy for us as artists is for us to understand the proper forms, volumes, and shapes that we have in the human body or in any creature's body, so that we can translate that into whatever medium we're using and create something that looks like it's real. That's the secret, I would say, for anatomy. Understanding the theory, but understanding also the underlying forms. So if you need to break, let's say, the rules of anatomy, if you need to add a bone or a ridge or a muscle where it does not exist, but it makes for a good form, it makes for a good volume, it makes for an interesting shape, you can do that. I talked about this recently in one of my shorts, that the rules that we normally have in the art world are very important to build the foundations. But once you have those foundations, it's fine to just break a little bit of those rules, or break away from those rules, and start like seeing what things work and what things don't work. And that's how you create a style. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that topic. Hannibal is asking, clay sculpting has a spiritual side not found in digital sculpting. You can achieve things through intuition that you can't in ZBrush due to the technical. Yeah, I agree. It's not the same thing to work on a physical medium that it is to work on a digital one. That's for sure. However, that thing that you're talking about, the spiritual side of things, I've and not to sound like too braggy about this, but I have felt that when working on digital stuff, you get in the zone, and I've mentioned this to some of my students. It sounds like you're crazy, but the sculpture kind of like talks to you, and it tells you what it needs, right? So you see that sort of like connection with your work. And again, I'm not crazy or anything, but it's a very, very common thing. When you get inspired and you understand a lot of the foundations of art, you can see where you need more stuff. And for me as a teacher, sometimes it's very difficult to explain that, because when you do that, you just go with that sort of like intuition of this is gonna work. I don't know why, but I know that for this particular piece, it's going to work. The voices, yeah. Right, Night Rito? The voices, you start hearing everything. Varjasin, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Welcome, guys. And well, I mean, it's already 11 a.m., so let's get started. We started a little bit earlier with some questions. If you missed them, don't worry, my friends. We're gonna have the VOD here on Twitch, and the video is gonna be available on YouTube as well after we're finished, so no one's gonna miss a thing, okay? Let's see. Sometimes the loose sketch is so much more on point than when you start the base mesh. Yeah, but see, that's something that I've been studying recently. I've been getting a little bit more into drawing. My drawing sucks, and you can see it right here. Like my lines, my sketches, they're very, very, like, I don't know, very loose. I don't draw nicely. I do consider myself to be a relatively good painter. If I need to do a 2D paint, because I understand volumes and form a little bit more than line and perspective, but my line tends to be very weak, very, they call this scratchy, very scratchy line. So I've been reading about that, and it's all about training. You also need, like, everything you do needs training, right? So the reason why sometimes the sketches, either on 2D or 3D, they look so good is because there's a lot of intention on the lines. Like you're trying to find this raw sort of like energy of raw concept on your element, and it looks nice. But if you need to refine that, that's when it gets tricky, because not only does it require a lot of time, it also requires like technical skill to be able to clean all of that sort of like raw energy from your pieces. John Brown actually mentions this. There's this sculptor called Rodin. You probably have seen this guy, and he did that. His stuff is very raw. Like if you look at his sculptures, like the Thinker is probably one of the most like famous ones. You can actually see like his thumbs imprinted on the clay. These were lost wax processes. So I believe he sculpted on like clay, and then he created a mold, he filled it with wax, and then he filled he melted the wax mold with the metal and generated the final pieces. If anyone knows the proper way and I'm messing something up, let me know. But yeah, and you can see that sort of like a raw energy on his sculpt. So it's not refined, right? It's very sort of like again, like you see the full force of the creative element. Now, is this more valuable than, for instance, Michelangelo's David? That's subjective, right? Some people really like this stuff. I personally really like this stuff, but there are some people that really like the super fine refinement of elements. There's another sculptor that I really like. His name is Rachel McDonald. I was going to say Ronald McDonald. Richard McDonald. And he did a series... sculpture. Richard. There you go. Richard. He did an amazing series of circus performance. Oof, this piece right here. Like, if I could own a sculpture, like if I had like stupid amounts of money, I would own this one right here. It's so fucking good, so fucking good. And I love the energy. Like his sculptures have a lot of energy in them, like the gesture, and they're also quite like raw, not super raw like Rodin's, because he does polish things quite nicely, but you can even see like the rake brushes and the rake marks on the elements, and it's just like freaking amazing. Yeah, look at this. So to me, this is super cool. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I love about like a modern art. If you ask me what modern artists do I like, this guy right here, because then you go into like you know, modern like avant-garde, and I'm not sure how it's called, where things are very subjective and very, I don't know, they're not figurative art. It's a different type of art. So no, I've never seen his stuff live. I would love to. I've seen Rodin's stuff, because here in Mexico there's a museum, and there's a collector that has a couple of Rodin's sculpts, so I've seen some of them live, but I have not seen Richard McDonald's. Oh, Artful, and for everyone listening, this is very important, my friends, very important. I've mentioned this before, and I'm gonna mention it again. Artful, I am no longer part of the Next2 team. I departed last year, in June of last year, and started my own brand. So this live stream that you're saying, it's now mine. There's no other external involvements. Therefore, if you have any of my old courses, I did like 25 courses for Next2 in the past couple of years. If you have any of those courses and you ask a question on those courses, I'm not going to be able to see it, okay? So I cannot see the progress, I cannot see the renders, I cannot see anything. I have no access to all of those old courses, because Next2 bought those courses from me back when I did them, not when I departed. Like, that was the deal. I was not. There's a common misconception that I was part of like the Next2 team as a sort of like a leader or like a partner. I was not. I was an outsourced instructor in this case. I did a lot of work for them, and I was the public face for a while, but I'm not part of them. Therefore, I do not have access to any of that. So if you want me to see any of the old courses, Thyros, Saria, the Mechanical Lion, the Hard Surface Model, like all of the famous courses that I did for them, please join our Discord and send them to the Discord, okay? Send them to the Discord, or leave me a comment on YouTube or something, because if you leave them on the Udemy platform on those videos, I'm not gonna be able to see it, okay? Berg, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Krabita, hola. Oh, nice. You trained there? Hannibal, that's amazing, man. It's a great experience. Priyanshu is asking, what's the difference between material, texture, and shader? The shader is the object that calculates how the material should look. So, let me show you. Let's go to Marmoset real quick. Is it possible to run realistic face portrait in 1 year? Yes, of course. 1 year is a very good amount of time to learn realistics or like sculpting. Next2 is owned by Nalin Kanta. That is right, my friends. Nalin Kanta is the owner of Next2. I'm doing well, man. Yeah, Burke. Everything's good, man. I'm feeling way better. For those of you that are a little bit out of the loop, last week I was very sick. My whole family got sick. We think it was some sort of like influenza or something. So it was very, what's the word? Very bad. Like I was in bed for like 2 days. There we go. Yeah. We're gonna link that in just a second, Artful, as well. It should be on the description as well. And the new site, again, for those of you that are a little bit out of the loop, because that's the thing, we have a lot of followers here on the YouTube channel, but sometimes not everyone gets the notification. The new site is www.aveliel3d.com. This is where you're going to be able to find the courses that we're like promoting right now, my courses. So this is a ZBrush. We got a ZBrush course, a Blender course, a Marbles Designer course, and also a Maya course. And I'm working, like literally I started working on it yesterday. I'm working on the new course, which is going to be a Substance Painter course. So yeah, this is the new site. It's very similar to Udemy. You buy the courses, there's multiple payment methods. We got questions, we got the project files. We got 1080p, which is good. In Udemy, it was a little bit difficult to get the 1080p every now and then. So yeah. What am I going to be doing talking today? I have a sculpture that I actually need to work on. And I was thinking that that could be a good idea. But since we're getting some questions, I'm also going to be answering questions. So the question that we had there was, what is the difference between a shader and a texture. There we go. So here we got our good friend Mork the Orc, or the Ogre. And this was one of the exercises from one of the old courses. And as you can see, he has a shader that looks like skin. And you can see a little bit of that redness going on the element because this is working as a subsurface scattering. Well, the textures, if I turn off the textures right here, you're gonna see that the textures are gonna give me a very important information about the character. Look at that. So this is a character without textures, just a shader. And the shader, the material, looks good. Like for a clay render, this looks perfectly fine. But if I start adding all of the maps that we normally create, that's when things become like more interesting because we can see every single thing that we're gonna be using, right? So I'm not sure what the color. So that is the reason why materials and textures are different. They're part of the same sort of like pipeline because you need both of them to generate a nice final result. But at the same time, they're different because one of them gives information to the surface and the other one is the way the material actually acts. So yeah, that's the stuff. Is it important to have excellent portfolio for a job as a 3D artist, or we can start with average portfolio and also start to learn and get experience while we work as a 3D artist at studios? You of course get experience when you're working at a studio, man. Like that is how you get experience. I would say that it is important to have a really good portfolio as a 3D artist. Like, of course you can get a job with an average portfolio, but do you want to be an average artist? I don't think so, right? Like we usually, at least with the people that I normally talk to, their main goal is to be a good artist. So if you want to be a good artist or a great artist, well, you need to work and you generate a great portfolio. That's it's a given, right? Andy the Lich is on the chat as well. What's up, guys? Okay, so today I thought we could do some sculpting. So let's go. And this is a character. You have seen this character before, but we're gonna be using this character a little bit more, which is this dwarf right here. Remember this guy? Let me turn off the body. So we use this one. I think I did like a skin texturing tutorial, which should be on YouTube as well. And then we did the how to open the mouth tutorial for this character as well. And I actually went into my old files and found another dwarf that I have done a long time ago. Let me show it to you because it's on my art station. This was one of my first ZBrush classes. This guy right here. There we go. This guy right here. Yeah, this is Dor. That's right. No, this is Dor. This is, well, yeah, the other one's it's the brother, right? But this is Dor, the dwarf. And I did this one 9 years ago. This was for a ZBrush class at Nomen as well. And I thought that the body was like fine, right? Like the arms look fine, the chest looks fine. So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna recycle the body. We're just gonna be doing a bust in this case, but we're gonna be recycling the body of the character to save a little bit of time, of course. You can see his backstory is that he was a prisoner, right? So that's why he's got all of this like scarring on the back, some more like damage over here and there. But one thing that I hate about this character, it's the freaking hands. Look at those horrible hands. They look really, 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 really bad. So we need to work on the hands. We're gonna be working on the hands today. Let's see. You remember did we use Dor? No, we didn't use Dor. Was it Dor? I think it was another one. I'm not sure if it was Dor. But yeah, we used this one on the Marvelous tutorial as well. ZRemesher is, can you explain world space normal and tangent space normal? Yes, tangent space normal is the direction at which the face is facing. That's pretty much it, right? So for instance, in this case, I wish I could have like some sort of like a tool to do some drawings on top of ZBrush, but there we go. So in this case, this face right here is pointing this way. This face, let's say right here, is pointing this way. This face right here is pointing this way. So that is the tangent space normal. What is the direction of each face of the object? World space normal tells me where are all of the faces that are pointing up, where are all of the faces pointing to the side, where are all of the faces pointing to the other side, and of course all of the faces pointing to the front and to the back of the character. So it's kind of like an X, Y, and Z sort of So like measurement that we use, and that map is very important. For instance, to if you want to add like a layer of dust, or let's say you're doing like a snow-covered house. Well, you need the world space normal to know where all of the faces are pointing up, because that's where the snow is gonna be sitting. So yeah. Costume normal technique. I'm not sure I have heard about it. Like, I know you can change the normals, and you can use that for things like parallax and things like that. I haven't used that too much, to be honest. Those hands look like, yeah, they look really bad. Oh, why? Okay. We got a lot of questions. Give me 1 second. I worry when you say excellent portfolio because it feels like perfection. No. It's not perfection. There is a level of expectation that studios have when you are just joining as a junior artist, right? So even for myself, like, I know if I'm recruiting something or someone for my studio, we don't have a lot of spots available. It's usually 2 or 3 people. But when we're doing that, I look at the portfolios, and as long as you can do proper modeling, proper rendering, proper texturing, that's usually more than I need, because I'm gonna be teaching you more stuff and more techniques as you like work a little bit more with us, right? However, if you don't have even that, then it's a little bit difficult to make the exchange, right? Like to trust that you're going to be able to learn all of the things that I need you to learn in a small period of time. Let's go for hand reference. Now, the thing with dwarf hands is that they are not like human hands. They're a little bit more like this. There you go. Oh, that's actually a really good one. I think that's the one that we're going to be using. So let's go for pure ref. We are going to be doing a topology course soon as well. That's sort of like a short course that I want to do. It's probably going to be like 2 or 3 hours. And hey, thanks for the follow, the Pata boy. It's probably going to be a small one, but it should cover like all of the topology of a human body. There you go. Hey, I did not update the goals. Let me update that, because that was only 2 for the goal. That was not. That's too easy. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Thanks for the sub, man. Priest Marina, thank you. Okay, so the goal is gonna be, let's do 840. Let's see if we can get to 840. On the followers, and on the subs we are at 50. 50 is the goal. It's a little bit more ambitious. How should you approach the studio if you want to work with them? Of course, like sending a message, sending an email. That's part of the drill. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Right now, the gaming industry is going through a crisis. You probably have seen that in the last couple of weeks, and it's not fake. Like, that is really happening, and you should take that into account, because it might be a little bit tricky, like this next couple months to get something. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because I don't want to paint a situation where it seems like everything is fine and things are going great. You might have seen this. It's all around the world in all of these different like industries, right? Like, it's not only gaming industry. People who are working on like software development, marketing, design. It does have to do a little bit with AI, but it's not the only thing. There's a bunch of other like economical reasons why things are like not turning out great. Okay, I'm gonna show you a technique here, and I don't like doing this technique, but I think we're gonna have to do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clone the character, or the chest of the character, and then I'm going to use the lasso tool to extract one of the hands, and then I'm gonna delete everything else. I'm gonna go to geometry, I'm gonna delete lower, and then delete hidden. And pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on just a single hand. Let's delete the other hand as well. There we go. because the base of the hand is fine, I think, like the palm and this part right here, it's relatively fine, so we can tweak it, but there's a lot of stuff that we need to change. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to delete the fingers. Well, first we're going to Dynamesh. And the problem here when we Dynamesh is, oh, actually we didn't lose too much detail. Okay, cool. So I'm going to delete all of the fingers. Delete hidden. There we go. And then we're going to just do one finger. And we're going to duplicate that finger and work with it. So fingers are really interesting. And this is a very common mistake. People, when they do fingers, they think they're like sausages, just like this. And no, there's a lot of gesture on the fingers. So as you guys know, on the fingers, we have the, it's called the proximal phalange, medial phalange, and distal phalange, which is the closest one, the middle, and then the far away one. And what we do here is we are going to create cubes. Okay, so it's going to be the first cube, and then the second cube is roughly like 2/3 of the first one. And then the final cube is roughly, again, 2/3 of the previous one. There's a diagram that says that they follow like Fibonacci sequence. I just kind of like eyeball it. But this is the important part. On the last one, you're going to have the round tip. So you're going to have this sort of like round effect right here. And there's usually going to be a nail bed as well. So the shape changes a little bit into this area. Erase this. Oh, you get the drill. Now on the top side of things, what the hell? On the top side of things, we're gonna have the knuckles. So the top part of the fingers tends to be a little bit more bony than the bottom part, and then this part right here tends to be a little bit more puffy, right? So that when we grab something, it doesn't hurt, because you know if something touches your bone, it hurts. So this part is puffy, and this part is more skeletal. Then the angle is very important as well, because the angle is usually kind of like this sort of like tapered effect, so that when we bend the finger, things like push and point in the proper way. So it's not completely straight. There's always a little bit of an element. And another thing that's important here is that we don't sculpt, or nowadays it's not as common to sculpt fingers completely straight, and this has to do with rigging. This is very, very, very important. You need to ask your rigger, of course, or whoever's going to rig the project. But usually, or back in the day, I'm talking about 10 years ago, when we used to rig, if we created the fingers completely straight, and then we needed to like curl them up to make a fist, right? Like this. There was going to be a lot of deformation, and we would get something called the candy wrap effect, where you would lose a lot of volume on the corners of the finger, and it would look just very, very bad. So in order to kind of like avoid doing that, what the modelers and riggers found is that if you model your fingers slightly bent, kind of like in a relaxed position, like this, it's easier to go from this, let's call this the B position, to the straight position, and also to the curled up position. So you don't lose a lot of volume if you already sculpted like this. And that's why nowadays characters, when you're doing them, they're not like in T-pose anymore. There are certain pipelines that still do it, but most of like the realistic ones, they do this sort of like relaxed pose, sometimes even with like the arms forward. It depends on the pipeline as well. But this is the reason, like it's a lot easier to get from this position to a straight position and to a like bent position than it is to go from the A position all the way to the C position. Okay, yeah, so Sarnis is sharing there, guys. There is I think here on the Discord where we're gonna be answering the questions. So let me go there. So we have a little like where is it? There you go. It's the stream Q&A, and we're in February 2. Right now we have one question that says how to know what type of modeling to do on a given piece and whether it is optimized. That's a great question. So you're gonna need to optimize your sculpting if you are gonna be doing, or usually if you are gonna be doing things such as what's the word? Such as real-time rendering, right? Like for games. So if you're gonna be doing games, you probably will be doing optimization on your pieces, and that's where you really need to focus on doing things in a clean way. There we go. So if I missed your question here on the chat, guys, please add it to the Discord, and I'll be checking there every now and then. Dennis Ziplaklov. Yeah, or also I've been doing some I saw this film like several years ago, and I've been fascinated by this guy. It's called Free Solo. It's a documentary. I think they did it on, I think it's on Amazon Prime or something. It's about this guy. I forgot his name, but he climbs mountains, right, without ropes. He likes to he likes to do that. That's the thing that he enjoys in life. And he has humongous hands, kind of like a troll's hands. Very, very, like, from a reference perspective, it's very, very cool. There we go. Yeah, ZRrush, that's the answer. DirectX and OpenGL are two types of rendering engines. So one of them is requires a license to be used, which is DirectX. You need to pay Microsoft the license to be able to implement DirectX on whatever like engine you're using or project that you're using. And OpenGL, as the name implies, it's an open like a graphics engine. So a lot of people use OpenGL. A lot of softwares use OpenGL to avoid paying for the license of DirectX. Is one of them better than the other? That's of course debatable. But for us in 3D, what's important is that the normal maps that we normally export for our objects, they will look different depending on if they're for OpenGL or DirectX. It's very easy to convert. You just switch the white channel up. So if you invert the white channel, it's just gonna work. That's it. So even if you texture in OpenGL and then they tell you, oh no, we're using DirectX, it's like absolutely no big deal. You can either re-export from Substance or directly on the engine. You just click a little button and it will flip the textures for you. So see, that finger is looking way, way nicer, right? Way, way nicer. Oh, by the way, I'm using the new tablet, guys. Did you guys see the video yesterday? We were really, really happy when we got the news. And the guys at Huion, they sent me this tablet. It's very nice. It's a very nice tablet. There we go. Sir, hold Control and drag right-click in ZBrush, please. That's Control and right-click. Yeah, that's the zoom. Yeah, that's nice. I don't use that one. I prefer using the alt click and then drag and drop. But yeah, that's a good one, man. Thanks. I remember again when I was a student, a teacher said that in 3D softwares, there's usually 3 ways to do the same thing. Like, I'm not sure if they program it that way or if it's just like some sort of like consequence of how things work, but there's usually 3 ways to do the exact same thing. I personally, like, for me, pressing 2 buttons, because I need to press Control and then click on the pen, to me it's a little bit difficult, but I've been using Alt for so many years, Priyanshu, so that's why I like, or I prefer this one. Chila Kid, what's up, my friend? What's up, dude? ¿Cómo estás, Chila Kid? Bienvenido. Okay, I do think they're a little bit too puffy, so let's push this back. And again, see the taper effect that I do right there? This is something that you can also learn from the anatomy book. That's Anatomy for Sculptors. Really, really good book. It's a great resource, that one. I learned ZBrush for some literally in like every other software. Well, I mean, if you already know ZBrush, Hannibal, the next thing that you need to do, what's the word, is learn a DCC application, or what we call the DCC application. So usually Blender or Maya are the go-to ones. 3D Studio Max is another one. I haven't seen too many studios, to be honest, using it. I know there are some big studios using it, but most of the industry uses Maya or Blender nowadays. So I would recommend one of those. And especially because rendering in ZBrush, even though we have Redshift now, it's still not like the best, right? There you go. What do you guys think? Does it look proportionate? I think it looks a little bit small. So I'm gonna grab my mask lasso and I'm just gonna scale it a little bit more. That looks a little bit better, I think. Sorry if my voice is sounding a little bit off as well. Carabita sent the question, let's say. says, Frank Crava says, hola Eve, tengo una duda. Hace varios días y quería saber si me la podías responder. No tengo drama que sea en inglés. ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre renderizar en diferentes motores gráficos y cuál consideras que es la mejor en personajes y objetos? So the question is, what is the difference between all of the different render engines and which one do you prefer? I'm gonna be completely honest here. There's tiers, right? Like, I'm gonna use a very, very stupid example, but you guys are gonna see it. So in Mexico, soccer is a big thing, right? Mexican leagues, and these are the big teams on the Mexican league. But we have first division, second division, third division, and people that are playing like in second division, they're already getting paid, right? Like, they are like professional athletes. They're not at the very top of their game, but they're professional athletes. If you ask them, hey, is there a difference on the ball, or is there a difference on the shoes that you're using, or on the gloves that the goalkeeper is using? Of course, there's going to be preferences, right? But in the lower levels, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's only on the very, very, very top levels that you're going to see a big deal. And I would say that's the same thing for us as artists. If we take a look at render engines, most of the render engines are going to be able to deliver a very nice piece. Like, if you show me a portfolio with any of these pieces, V-Ray, Omniverse, or Unreal, or any of these ones right here, most of these look fine. They're perfectly fine for a portfolio piece. Of course, for film and production, there's going to be like ones that are really, really good and ones that are not as good. But for us, it really doesn't matter. I personally like using Arnold because it comes free with Maya. I like using Cycles because it's with Blender and it's really good. I use Unreal Engine and I use Marmoset. Those are like the four like main renders that I use for my stuff. So yeah, what is the difference? Their mathematics, their performance. Some of them might be a little bit more optimized for, let's say, glass or caustics. Like V-Ray is supposed to be the best one for architects when they want to do like super realistic renders, and then Arnold and RenderMan are supposed to be the best for film because the skin shaders that they have and the way that they process like surface scattering, things like that, is very good. So it depends. It depends a lot, but it doesn't really matter. Even if you want to apply for a render position, they will give you like an onboarding once you get there. So let's say you get a very nice like rendering portfolio, and you get hired at ILM for Star Wars. They're going to be using RenderMan, and they're going to teach you how to transfer all of the information that you know about whatever render you were using, which is probably going to be Arnold, to RenderMan. So yeah. Let's see, we had another question on the Discord as well. In ZBrush, when decimating and remeshing, can you preserve the mesh edges so they don't contract and mesh? No. When remeshing and remeshing and decimating, there will be changes on the silhouette. So what I usually do in those cases is I try to... I don't do retopology. That's why nowadays the main like way to do things is you first do your high poly. You make sure your high poly is as nice as possible, and then you retopologize. Because if you try to retopologize, there's usually a little bit of an issue there, trying to make everything kind of like fit. There we go. There's a strike in the industry right now, and I was curious about your thoughts. Which strike? Right now? Like literally today? Because I haven't seen a big strike yet. I've seen a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people are angry at the situation or the current situation of the industry right now. But I don't think I've seen... The thing is, I don't think I've seen the strike because, unfortunately, the BFX industry, at least in the United States, it's not unionized. So, like, at any point, they can just fire you. And there's no union to protect you. Am I right if I export normally in DirectX and for customers need OpenGL version, it's easy to change in an engine? Yeah, it's very easy to change in an engine. Again, ideally, you should export on the format that they're asking for, but it's very easy to change. Okay, so this finger looks good, I think. Of course, the nail, we're gonna do it as a separate piece. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clone the tool again, and then on this new one, I'm gonna delete everything except for the finger, like this. Let's delete hidden and Dynamesh, and then we're gonna clean the border a little bit here with smooth and Dynamesh. This is very common, right? Everyone has gotten this, or like artifacts on the elements. It's very, very common. I recommend using Trim Dynamic to flatten this against like the border of the element, and then Dynameshing again. That usually gets rid of all of those artifacts. And it's very important that you get rid of these artifacts, because if you try to decimate or if you try to ZRemesher or anything, it's going to tell you that there's non-manifold geometry. and it won't work. So very, very, very important to clean all of this. There we go. That's it. And now I'm going to try to get the finger to look straight at me. It's a little bit screwed or skewed. That's fine. We can fix this. But I'm going to try to make it look like this. And I'm going to press the B and create insert mesh, a new one. So now I got a finger brush. There you go. I can create as many fingers as I want. This is how we save ourselves a lot of time. So we're going to create a new one right there. We're going to make it slightly bigger because it's supposed to be the index finger. I'm going to rotate it a little bit bigger. Gonna make it a little bit taller right there. And usually when your hand is resting, every subsequent finger is going to be what's the word? It's going to be like getting closer and closer. So this one right here, it's gonna kind of like close a little bit more. So this one's gonna close like right around there. And then here, I mean, you can create a new one, or you can just duplicate this one. Make it a little bit smaller because this is now the ring finger. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit. Again, get it in there. Usually, and you can check it on your hand, the ring finger and the index finger, they're pretty much the same size. So you want to keep that in mind. And finally, the pinky finger is actually the same size or similar in size to the ring and index finger. It's just that it's farther back. That's the thing that changes with fingers. And we covered this on the ZBrush course, by the way, with the Oni character. We follow a very, very similar process. There we go. So now with this done, I'm gonna use move topological to just make sure that there's no like empty space between the fingers. Just move them a little bit. And look how different this hand looks. Like, remember the old hand? This one? That this looks like a really, really ugly hand. And now, oh, that starts looking a little bit better, right? Like more professional, I would say. So that's the secret of working in this sort of stuff. Abraham, do you think the character creation tools like Unreal Engine, MetaHumans, or Character Creator could have a negative impact for character artists in the future? Yes. So I think all of this automatic tools, AI, all of this thing, it's great. And it's going to be a tool like we talk about, or I've talked with this with Sarn about quite a bit. It's not going to change. It's not going to go away. There's no way we're going to be able to just like erase it from memory and it's not going to work anymore. But the thing is, there's a lot of characters that you're not going to be able to do with those tools. Like monsters, creatures, ghosts, I don't know, zombies. Like humans, yeah, maybe there will be humans that you no longer need to hire an artist to do. And you're just going to be using MetaHuman or Human Creator or whatever, and you just do like human characters. And that's fine. But for all of these fantastical creatures, aliens, and things that we do, we're still going to need artists, right? And that has happened in the industry for a long, long time. If you remember, guys, a couple of years ago, being a texture artist was a big deal. Like being able to create wood texture, glass textures, or floor tilings and stuff like that. It was a position in a lot of studios. Nowadays, they don't do that. I mean, there are some studios that do have material artists on board, but a lot of that stuff, just use photogrammetry and you get like the perfect material and that's it. So technology advances, and we as artists, we do need to adapt to new technologies. Of course, we need to ask for respect, right, from the industry, and we need to, both with our wallets, I would say it's very important to make sure that our stuff is valued. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these things are not going to go away. How to get rid of fear of modeling anything complex? You just do it. I'm going to give you the best advice that I can give you, Priyanshu. If you are scared of fucking up or messing up, you have to mess up or fuck up. That's it. There's no other way around this. I remember when I was younger, and I was trying to ask girls out, right? I wanted to get a date or get a girlfriend or something, and we always have that sort of like fear of rejection. Very common. Humans hate rejection. But I remember talking to my dad, and he was like, "You just gotta ask them. Like that's it. Like if you want to go out with someone, you ask them. There's two options. They're gonna say yes or they're gonna say no." If they say anything other than that, it's probably a no. If they say, "Oh, I'm not sure," that's a no. So it's yes or no. And once you get the no, that's it. You got more information, and now you can move forward. Either try again with a different strategy, or just try it with someone else. So the same thing has or needs to happen with art. If you're scared of starting a very ambitious project and messing it up and creating something that's very difficult to do, just start. Mess up. like, don't, like, you're gonna fail, and let me tell you, you're gonna fail like horribly. And once you fail, now you have learned, and now you start improving, and you realize, oh, I failed because maybe I don't know enough about topology. Well, you start practicing topology. Maybe I don't know about enough about the tools. Like, I don't know how to do the best with the bevel and extrude tool. Well, now you learn about that. That's how you grow as an artist. You go yourself against the challenge. You fail sometimes at the challenge, and then you learn from that challenge. And everything in life is a challenge. I have failed. Like, we've made, you can ask Sarn here. We've made things here with the new brand that just didn't work. It's like, oh, okay, that didn't work. That's fine. But we tried. And no one died or anything, so we're fine. And we just tried something else. I remember the first couple of like shorts that I uploaded when I started, like last year. They were getting like 40 views, 50 views, or something like that. It's like, oh, damn, that was very discouraging. But if I just stopped there because, oh, no, I suck at doing shorts, I'm not going to continue, then we couldn't gotten all the growth that we've gotten so far. And I'm still learning. Like, I still want to like keep improving, and I still keep improving on all my stuff. The Bata Boy, what's up, man? Thanks for the first time chat. And yeah, if you are going to get any of the courses, make sure to go to the site. The cheapest prices are going to be on the site, on my own site, because that's where we don't have to pay any transaction fees or anything. So you get the best deal, and all of our courses are there. Okay, so just go to the main site. Okay, so that's looking quite nice. There is a shape of the hand. Let me see if I can find some reference here. If I look for hand sculpture, there's usually a shape on the hand. There you go. You can see it here. That kind of pushes up on this area. It's kind of like a break in silhouette. Like, this looks very soft, but you can kind of see it right there. And right now my hand does not have it, or at least not as I would like it. So I'm gonna start adding a little bit more form right there. So that when we see it from the side, we see this sort of like a ramp going down. And I don't worry about wrinkles and like all of the veins and things like that, because all of that can be very easily brought back on the character. So you should never sort of like be afraid of destroying the high frequency detail, because it's very easy to bring it back. There you go, man. Thanks for the support. Yes, the next one is going to be Pritam. The next the substance course that we're going to do, we're going to cover everything. It's going to be a complete guide to Substance Painter. And there's a lot of things to cover, a lot of tools. We're going to be doing skin, we're going to be doing UDEMs, we're going to be doing metal, we're going to be doing wood, we're going to be doing leather, we're going to be doing rendering, we're going to be doing glass transparency, like a bunch of things. Like, I originally was thinking about making it like a 5-hour course, but to be honest, it's probably going to be like a 10-hour course with all of the like little tools that we need to cover, because Substance Painter is a very complete package. Yeah, I literally started recording it yesterday. I'm gonna wait just a little bit more for my voice to get better, and then I'm gonna rush it. Well, not rush it, but like really get it far. I wanna get it ready for the middle of this month. Oh no, not render. Yeah, no, not the final renders, Roma. But just I'm gonna talk about iRay, right? Because it's even though it's not the best option, it's an option, and it's useful to know about. But no, there's gonna be a final chapter on that course where we're gonna be going into 4 softwares. Actually, I'm gonna show you how to connect everything in Blender, how to connect everything in Maya, how to connect everything in Unreal, and how to connect everything on Marmoset. So it's gonna be on all softwares. You building on the dwarf model from the bust in the Marmoset course? Yes. So we're going to be using this one for the new substance course. I'm going to be combining the body of an old dwarf that I had, just this one right here, with the head. That was the old head. Look at how ugly that head was. Oh my god. You guys want to have a little bit of a laugh? Look at that. So that head is the head that I did back in 2014, so 10 years ago. And this head right here is the new one. So hopefully you can see the difference. Let me put them side by side. So even though it might not seem like a it should be like a big difference, right? Like you guys see all of the proportion differences or of the form differences. So this is the sort of like improvement that everyone should be looking for, even after years and years of doing art. Yeah, it's gonna have a different personality. It definitely has a different personality. Rather, makes it look a little bit more calmer, I think. The lips are better on the left one. Wait, yeah, because these ones are not finished. These ones are more detailed, but I need to finish this ones right here. I think this one's too exaggerated. Like if we turn the volume up to 11, I feel like it's a little bit too much. OBK, no, we're not gonna be adding the course to what's the word? We're not gonna be adding the course to next to the new one, the Marvelous Designer one, and the reason is Udemy is a good platform, but unfortunately the fees and the transactions and everything that they charge are very, very steep. And if I want to make sure that this project can continue for a long time, which is of course my main goal, well, I need to make some decisions, right? So hopefully you can see that on the new site. Again, the new site has everything. It has multiple logins as well to keep it simple. You don't have to remember a password or anything, and it's also a way for us to keep the project going. Also, as I mentioned, the price on my site is always going to be a little bit cheaper than on Udemy. At least we will upload some of the courses, like especially the more like introduction level ones. Those will be on Udemy, but the more advanced ones, I want to keep them on my site. It looks sinister. Yeah, the left one looks a little bit more angry, more sinister. And I remember that was one feedback that I got from a friend that's not an artist. When I was when I was starting, he was like, "Hey, you always do your characters and they're always angry." There you go, Dumi. Thanks for the follow, man. I have exported my animation in Olympic when my UVs got vanished, so I transferred my UVs with my original one as I had the same number of versions in the first one, but it didn't work. Where did you export the animation from? Yeah. Because usually when you export, the UVs should remain. Like, there's no reason why you should lose them. Okay, I really like the main fingers now. I think the pinky's a little bit too big. This one's also a little bit big. And you want to keep them blocky. Like, fingers are very, very square-like. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to go for. Yeah, we're going to continue with the weekly challenges. And next week, Molko Boats. I was feeling really, really bad last week, so I totally forgot about it. But next Monday, we'll have another challenge on the Discord. Maya. So yeah, if you exported from Maya, you should have the stuff, man. I'm not sure. Maybe your export settings were a little bit wrong, because usually UVs do get exported. What's my favorite style? My favorite style is, lately it has been a little bit more stylized, to be honest. But when I first started, it was realistic. I really like doing realistic stuff. I still do. But I've always liked the sort of Blizzard realistic cinematic style, where it is realistic, but it's not super hyper realistic. It's more realistic stylized, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of stuff that I normally do. Let's push this bone a little bit up. Okay, now the thumb. It's a messed up thumb. I mean, it has the right direction, but I think the size is a little bit wrong. That's a little bit better. Cryptopolis, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. we got a question on the Discord. Says, is there a set of skills which technical artists simply must have? The TA skill requirements seem to be completely... Yeah, it's very different. Technical artists, at least from what I understand, it usually has to do with rigging, but it's more about like creating solutions for the pipeline. So scripting, I think it's like super necessary. Usually Python is the tool that they use, especially if the main like tool is Maya. So scripting is one of those things. Thanks, man. Yeah, we're still working. Like, I wouldn't say that these are details just yet. These are still like primary and secondary forms, but we are gonna be doing details soon. So yeah, TDs or TAs, technical artists, can be a little bit of everything. But scripting and creating tools for or solutions, I would say that's the main like role of a TD, like to create solutions for the pipelines. Let's fix that. Get this in there. Here's a trick. You can move the arrows so that at least one arrow is kind of like pointing in the same direction as the finger, and that's kind of like adding a bone. So when you rotate on that arrow, in this case I'm using the X-axis, it will look like the finger is bending. So it's a little bit more... It's kind of like a rigging. Like a very primal way of rigging. Primitive, not primal. Very primitive way of rigging here inside of ZBrush. Remember that the thumb has two divisions only, so two phalanges, the close phalange and the far phalange, opposed to the other fingers. There we go. After UV unwrap for a character, do we need to soften the edges for smoother texture flow? I asked this because no one tells this in any tutorials. I usually always smooth the mesh. Like the mesh display is a smooth mesh. You only need to smooth the UVs if you're going to be using Subdivision method. If it's for games, you don't need to do that because you're going to get like weird lines on the seams. But if it's for a subdivision approach, then yes, because when you subdivide, you will also get a little bit of a stretching in there. Alpha Omega says, I want to ask how to make cloth like open jackets for game. Watertight for t-shirt, cap all the holes in sleeves and so on, but for an open jacket, should I? Yeah, no. Usually for open cloth, for instance, I got this question last week, I think, from another student. So let's say you're doing like pants, right? And they're very baggy pants, so like floaty pants at the very bottom. So if you're doing the pants, you're usually gonna model inside of the pants a little bit like this, and then here you're gonna have the socks, and then the shoes, right? So that if the camera gets like a very low angle, they can still see a little bit of the inside of the pants right here, but you don't waste all of this texture space and deformation going all the way up. So it's usually right around there. Sometimes they even leave it open. Like they just like keep a hole right there, and that's fine. Sometimes they add a cap. I personally like to leave it open because then with the cap it's a little bit difficult to rig. So yeah, just create that sort of like lip. So on a jacket, like if you have a jacket right here, and it's gonna be like an open jacket. If we see it from the top, you'll probably see like the jacket and then a little bit of a border going in, and then this will be the chest, right? So this is the chest area, and you would see a little bit of a hollow space right there. That's probably how I would solve that issue. Shinky Flakes, yes man, I have a ZBrush course. If you go to my site, it's called aveliel3d.com. www, we'll link it. But here, this one right here is the ZBrush Stylized Characters course. And this course we cover, in the first two chapters, we cover the introduction to ZBrush and the ZBrush tools. And then we jump into creating this character where we use a lot of different techniques. And I mean, people here in the chat, they can tell you like if they like the course or not. But so far, we've gotten a good response out of it. It's on YouTube, Sarn. Flakes is on YouTube right now. Yeah, there you go. Daddy Stream saying, really nice course. Yeah, I really again, not to brag, but I really proud myself on my courses. I always try to deliver the best possible content for you guys on there. Because that was, when I was a student, that was one of the things that I hated about like online courses, that they would either speed run it and you wouldn't understand what the hell was going on, or they would not explain every single tool or why they were doing it. I think that was always one of my like biggest emotions, like angry emotions. I get this. It's like, you're teaching me something, but you're not teaching me why. You're just telling me how to do it. I don't want to be just a monkey repeating or clicking buttons. I want to understand the reasoning of why we're using this tool or why we're doing this sort of thing. And that's why I always try to do on my courses. I always try to teach the why behind all of these things. There we go. Okay, so I think the hand is looking nice. I mean, we can still, of course, improve it, but I think we do have a nice sort of form. So it's a good moment to bring it back to the body and paste it. So let me show you how we would do that. It's kind of like a surgery. So we need to go back to the body. Over here. Of course, let's bring the face back. There we go. And then this one right here, we need to cut it. I thought I had already cut it, but it seems like I didn't. So I'm gonna delete the face. I'm gonna delete the hands. And I'm gonna delete the legs and part of the torso. If you wanna be very clean, we can remove all of this or like extra loops. Mainly so that we get a cleaner cut. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, to be honest. So once we have this, I'm just gonna go to, well, I'm gonna go to the highest subdivision level. And geometry, or not the highest, but at least a high enough one, like that one. Delete lower, delete higher, so that we don't have any other, and delete hidden. And then, this is the tricky part, we're gonna Dynamesh. We're gonna Dynamesh. The holes are gonna be closed, of course. We are gonna lose detail. It's sort of like an unfortunate consequence of this process that we're doing. But now we have this like free. So we can do a pen. Bring the new hand in. So you can see that's the new hand. Very nice. Now I know that the position of the hand is right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the arm, and with my move brush, I'm just gonna move this in so that it overlaps, and so that when we do the Dynamesh, it what's the word? It connects properly. And of course, this one we're gonna do a mirror. We grab this guy. We use merge down, okay, and we Dynamesh, and that should like connect the character again. Yeah, the idea, Berg, is this guy right here that I'm showing you. I am gonna do it like a really high quality. We're gonna be using UDIMs and everything instead of Substance for the Substance course. So that's why I'm only focusing on the bust, but of course all of the techniques can be applied to a full character. Eventually, I do want to do another course. It's probably going to be later in the year because we got other stuff to cover first. But I do want to do another course like the Thyrus course. Remember the one I did for Nextut? That one is like, well, that one's game level, but I'm thinking about doing a cinematic level course for that. But those ones will definitely be advanced courses where I'm not going to cover every single step, because that's a character that takes, I don't know, 100 hours, 200 hours to do. And doing a 200-hour course is just way too much. Unless we do it like in stages or like chapters, or not chapters, what's the word? Like modules, right? Like course 1, it's just a sculpting, and then course 2, it's just a retopology, and then course 3, texturing. But I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Because 100 hours, yeah, it's parts, but 100 hours of content is a lot. I know some people like that, but from our research, most people don't watch that long of a content. Okay, you know what, Sarn? Let's do a poll. The poll is gonna be, I'm not sure if we can do a poll on YouTube, but I want to do it here on Twitch, because this is a question that I have. Do you guys like doing tutorials with male characters or female characters? Because that's a question that we've been debating internally. It's like, oh, should we do a male character? Should we do a female character? And that's always one of those things. So I want to know, Sarn. Let the people tell us what they think about this. I love doing both, to be honest. But I want to know what you guys think. No, we don't have a female character tutorial yet. But I do want to do one character tutorial. One female character tutorial as well. There you go. We got the poll there on the Twitch chat, guys. So, vote. Do you like to do female characters or male characters when following a tutorial? Thanks, man. There we go. Okay, now this is an important one, guys. Take a look at this. Well, vote if you haven't voted, and if you're in YouTube, let me know in the chat. I'll take those votes into account. We got male on one side. Yeah, we have to learn both. That's what I mean. Like, if you're gonna be a character artist, you need to be able to do both. Usually, what I've seen in my experience is that the hell. Oh, come on! What happened here? My ZBrush is freaking out. I'm going to my clay buildup and it's staying frame dynamic. Let me save real quick and reopen. So, in my experience, most male students have an easier time doing male characters, and most female students have an easier time doing female characters. I guess it has to do with some sort of like body recognition or something. But yeah. Male, female, and same. There you go. Yeah, ZBrush glitched. Let's go out. Where are my materials though? Yeah, let's do the same poll on the Discord as well. That's interesting data. I mean, from what I can see right now, male is definitely winning. I mean, I'm not it's not strange. But I thought female was gonna be a little bit higher. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell now. Look at the head. Dwarfs, Lord of the Rings dwarfs have a different kind of like a body proportion, right? In the films, they look human. They're just like short humans. But if you look at dwarfs from like D&D, and you look at like the pictures, the proportions are quite different, right? Like the arms are shorter, the heads are usually bigger. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we normally see with dwarf characters. So what we can do here to make your character look a little bit more dwarfish is make that head slightly bigger. See that? That was just like a 10% increase in size. 10%. And look how more shorter he looks, right? Because the head looks bigger. So it's very, very important that we understand proportions. Vishal says, you say things like that and you get canceled. Well, I'm hopefully not saying anything hurtful. I'm just saying that that's the usual thing that I see. So yeah, most people prefer to sculpt or model male characters. Sarn, you were right. Like, I knew male was gonna be the winner, but I didn't think it was gonna be that much of a difference, but it appears like it is. There you go. I have a sweet spot for female characters. I guess that's my issue there. But there you go. So as you can see, bigger head, slightly bigger head, it's gonna give us a sort of like more dwarfish look for the character. Now, if we go to the chest, there's a couple of things here that I want to like fix with the chest, especially this area right here. So we're going to bring this in. Usually the chest, this is again important in silhouette for male and female characters. You are gonna have the chest muscles, and then there's gonna be like a little bit of a step down, and then you're gonna have the ribcage border, another step down, and then the abdominal muscles. Okay, so this is chest muscle, ribcage, and then abdominal. And this silhouette right here is very important. In female characters, it's the exact same thing. The only thing that changes is, of course, that you're usually gonna have the breast area close to the chest area, right? So the silhouette is gonna change slightly, but you're still gonna have this sort of like a big form coming up, and then in towards the ribcage, and then up on the ribcage, in after the ribcage, and then up on the abdominal muscles. Yes, we can definitely make the hands a little bit bigger. So here's how I would scale the hands. This is another like important little note here. Let's go mass lasso. Oh. I'm gonna grab the hands roughly at the wrist area. I'm gonna control and tap several times so that the mask gets softer, and then we're gonna control click right there on the center. Try to go as close to the center of the volume there, and we're gonna make them a little bit bigger. We're gonna have to, of course, like get them back into position. It might be a little bit too much. So there we go. What is the reason lots of people sculpting characters with that A pose? I've explained this before, Anjana. I actually explained it earlier. It's about rigging. When you have a character that's on T pose, like this, it's way more difficult to rig and deform this character properly so that he can raise his arms all the way up and bring his arms all the way down, right? It's just a little bit more complicated, and it's not very common for a character to bring his arms all the way up. Only like cartoony characters do that. Like, think about how many times you do this like movement. It's not a lot. So for realistic looking characters, A pose is better because it's easier to bring the arms closer to the body for like fighting, walking, and things like that. And a very common mistake, or a very common issue that happens with T pose, is that when you bring the arm down, this area right here gets pushed in because of the deformation, and you need to clean up that stuff. So that's why A pose has been used quite a bit. Now, I've seen this sort of like puppet pose. I call it the puppet pose. They use this on The Witcher 3, and I've seen it used like in several pipelines where the character is kind of like holding his hands forward, kind of like a zombie. And I think that's for mocap. I think that one they use it for motion capture a little bit more. Now, again, as with anything 3D related, there's not one like right way or wrong way to do things. They're just pipelines. So it depends on what studio you're working on and the way that they work at that studio. If they use T-pose and it works for them, go for it. Like we recently in the studio, we finished a VR experience, and the characters were rigged in T-pose because the tools that we're using for that one made it easier for us. Okay, now here's what I'm scared, because we need to bring this character, or we need to combine this character into a single piece so that I can work on the neck and everything. But this character has 12 million polygons on the head, and the body is only at 992. So I know that when I combine them, we will lose a little bit of detail, and that's unfortunate. Either we will lose a little bit of detail, or it's going to be a little bit difficult. But I'm going to show you like the whole process. Okay, so there we go. This is what we're going to do. First, we're going to merge down. So merge down. Or sorry, not merge down, because this thing is up. Let's push this up. There we go. We're going to go merge down. Okay. Now, my main, again, concern is I want to have as much detail from the high poly character as I can, right? Because this one is, at least on the skin and the pores, it's pretty much done. And, I mean, even though I've mentioned this before, we can just redo it. It might just be a little bit easier if we don't. So if I just Dynamesh right now, I'm literally going to lose all of the detail. Let's see what we get. There we go. So as you can see, we lose all of the detail, which is not ideal. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this. I'm going to duplicate this one. So I'm going to duplicate this guy right here. And instead of having, because I don't want to do like a resolution of 48,000 or whatever, that's going to be like difficult. I'm winning on the Discord poll. So here, what I'm gonna do is I am gonna do a Dynamesh a little bit higher resolution. So let's go to like, I don't know, like 400 or something. There we go. There we go. So as you can see, we kept a lot of the detail, not every detail, but a lot of the detail. It's not bad, 3 million points. And now we're gonna ZRemesh. Okay, and the reason why I did a Dynamesh before the ZRemeshing is because if you try to ZRemesh with a very, very high poly count, the computer just like dies. So it's a good idea to try to do it a little bit smaller. So we're gonna ZRemesh here. And I'm not looking for a perfect ZRemesh. This is not perfect retopology. This is why I want to do the topology course soon as well. So yeah. Okay, there you go. So again, not perfect, not ideal. We can improve it a little bit. Let me show you how. One of the things that we can do is we can use the ZRemesher guides. And at least here on the eyes, I would like to have some loops for the eyes, some loops for the mouth. Like just try to get this a little bit closer there. Right? It should make it a little bit easier for the loops of everything here. So yeah, something like that. Let's do another one right there on the center. There we go. So once we have this, I can like push the curve strength a little bit higher, and I can also push the poly count a little bit higher. Let's go to like a 10. And if we do ZRemesh with the curve strength set a little bit higher, it's gonna try to obey this or like paths a little bit more, and that should give us a nice result as well. There you go. So as you can see, that's again not perfect. I can already see some spirals going on there, but it should be like good enough for the sculpting process. And finally, this is why we duplicated this guy earlier here on the high poly. I need to grab this guy right here, like the new one, and I need to divide this a couple of times or several times until we get close to the amount of polygons that we have right here. So that's 13 million polygons. I'm going to do Control D, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to do 5 because if we do 5, I think we're going to go to 24 million polygons. That's a little bit too much. So I'm going to try to keep it here and see. Let's see how much like detail we can capture. So at 6 million polygons, and I'm gonna select this guy right here and just go to project and project all. And now what we've basically achieved is we've combined the body and the head of the character, and hopefully we're gonna be able to preserve as much detail as possible. We can go to 24 million. There's absolutely nothing wrong. However, I know that that's a number that at least my computer right now might have a little bit of an issue handling. Any software, Maya, ZBrush, any software, if you have a single object that's really, really heavy, it becomes very difficult to manage because there's a lot of information that it needs to save on the RAM, rather than having multiple objects with a lot of elements. Now, I also don't, I mean, it's another option, but here's the thing. On the Substance Painter course, I want to show you how to do 3 things. So we're going to have the character, like, pretty much nude so that we can focus on skin. And then we're going to add the layer of armor. Okay, well, we're going to add the armor to the character. And we're gonna do textures for the armor as well. So pretty much like what you see in games, right? Like when you can like take the cloths off on and off. So we're gonna see the 2 versions. Normally on a game, if you're gonna have armor, you just cut the head and you just texture the head as its own little asset. But again, in this particular case, I do want to have both versions. We gotta wait a couple of minutes. So if there's questions, this is a perfect moment to do them. Let's see if I missed the question. If I missed the question, also Crux, yeah, we already have the what's the word, the custom interface available on the resources of our Discord channel. So if you guys are not on the Discord, make sure to join. This happens very often. ZBrush will freeze and it will look like you just lost everything. Don't worry about that. Go to the task manager, and if the task manager, you see ZBrush running right here and you see the numbers moving, there you go. So it's not dead. If this numbers stop on the task manager, ZBrush is dead and you need to stop it. But if it's still running, it's just doing its calculation and it froze the update of the image. So it's again very, very common thing. Look at that. So that's very, very close. As you can see the overlap of everything. And if we turn this off, yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, we did lose a little bit of fidelity on the pores and stuff, but all of the scars, which was my main concern and everything else, it's looking perfect. So now that we have this, we could just keep working. So yeah, that's how you transfer detail from, or how you combine two different characters into a single piece. I'm gonna go a couple of subdivisions level down. You don't need to work on the highest subdivision level, and this is one of the big, oh my god, I've had fights with students on this, like not fist fights, right, but I've had like very heated discussions with a student once that was like, oh, I don't care about subdivision, I'm always gonna be sculpting with DynaMesh, and I'm just gonna increase because my dad bought me a computer and I have 128 gigabytes of RAM. I was like, dude, congratulations, but the thing is, you're not only doing this because your computer can handle this, you're doing it because it's easier to work on the primary forms on the lower subdivision levels than it is to work on the higher subdivision levels. So there's an artistic sort of like a reason why we work with subdivision levels as well as a technical reason. Sarn, there's been a couple of students across my 10 years of experience teaching that I've wanted to hit so bad. It's like, dude, let's go to the parking lot and let's just figure this shit out. But unfortunately I can't do that. Yeah, I've had some of them. Not lately, but a couple years ago I was like, you guys remember the meme from like The Incredibles? This guy that goes like, you dance motherfucker, like come on dude, like I'm trying to help you and you're just fighting against me. Oh man. I remember a student, I don't even remember his name now. I was teaching modeling, Maya modeling, and every time I teach the introduction to Maya class, the final project, you get to pick an object, like a prop, and you do it. And he picked a drum kit, like a drum kit, music drum kit. And I was trying to show him how to do some of the pieces from that drum kit, and he would not listen. And every single week he would deliver shit. He was just doing horrible things. And I was just like, dude, you need to fix this form, you need to fix the shape, add some bevels, extrude this here, this. And he was like, I like it how mine is. I don't want to do it your way. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, and the problem is, here's the thing. There's two types of teaching that I do. One of this is this teaching, right? Like right now, I'm just teaching, I'm just showing you. The tutorials are that kind of teaching where I call that voluntarily teaching. Like you guys are here because you guys want to learn, which is great. I'm happy with when I have those students because there's usually a will on both sides, the teacher and the student, to learn. And then you have the like mandatory teaching. So there are some careers that have 3D classes that I've taught as a 3D teacher, and unfortunately some people don't like or don't want to do 3D, but they have to do it because it's part of their curriculum. And those students, those are the most difficult ones to work with. Janita, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. You can do Subdivision on DynaMesh as long as your original DynaMesh is not that high. Gorehound, how am I doing? I'm a little bit sick still, but it's way better. My throat is no longer killing me, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we need a little bit more reference on torso and necks. And here, of course, I'm gonna go with half Thor, Björnsson. I know he's not a dwarf, right? But he's got like sort of like the big proportions of a dwarf, I would say, like the sort of like muscle. He's a lot leaner now. He's doing MMA, right? I think. But yeah, like there's this very like, or this guy's right here. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking for. I strongly advise against doing or going with what's the word? With bodybuilders. Bodybuilders, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but the way they train, it's to showcase the muscles, right? And yes, you can very clearly see the muscles, but they look very inflated, a little bit fake, I would say. It's just not an aesthetic that I like for my characters. I would love to have that aesthetic myself. I don't have the discipline to do that, but for characters, I prefer to keep them a little bit more sort of like realistic. No, I've never been. Well, when I was a kid, I got into like 2 or 3 fist fights. I won one. It was 2 fist fights. I won one and I lost the other one. There you go, Olaf. Thanks for the resub, man. Thanks for your support. Is ZRemesher good enough for animation or retopology mandatory? No, for animation you do need to have like a proper. You can't, like, I've seen people like spend hours and hours like tweaking their ZRemeshing values to get something that works with animation. But to be honest, I just find it easier to do it manually. For characters, but if you're doing props, ZRemesher is fine. ZRemesher is perfectly fine. So a mistake that I did with this guy back in the day was that I went too hard on like this divisions. Like you can see here, you barely see the fibers. Even in this one where he looks very lean, even this guy right here, you don't see like every single fiber. So I'm going here with my clay buildup and I'm just adding a little bit of like skin and fat on all of these folds. And that's gonna make him look a little bit more normal, realistic, because you don't usually see this sharp sort of like cuts on the muscles. Gorehound says, I've been following you for a long time. With the help of your next 2 tutorials and paid course, I finally got a job. There you go. It's just a baby step towards my destination. I just want to let you know that you're a great inspiration for this stranger. My friend, you are not a stranger. You're part of this community, and I appreciate that. I've been getting a lot of messages lately, or at least this past couple of months, about people getting their first jobs, and I'm so happy for you guys. So happy. Especially what we were talking about, like the fact that the industry right now is a little bit on a weak side. So yeah, congratulations, man. Congratulations. And I'm glad that my stuff has been able to help you. Little or a lot, I don't care. I remember telling David when we started this last year, it's like, as long as I know that there's one student benefiting from this, and I can keep doing it from a financial perspective, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing this because it's very inspiring to get to know all of you guys. There you go. So we can have the main volumes of the muscles, like for instance, the pectoral major has a couple of fibers. You can see them right here. 1, 2, 3 main fibers. So you're usually gonna see those are like small little bulges on the character. You're gonna see like one right there, and then the second one right there, and then the third one. So it is possible to add that. Just don't exaggerate it too much. Anatomy, it's a lot about subtlety as well. No, we definitely need to fix the mouth. I think that's one of the big ones. I'm not gonna go to the highest level yet, so I'm gonna go right around there. And this is where polygroups really come into play. As you can see right now, this character has a single polygroup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with select lasso. I'm gonna select all of like the area of the mouth, and I'm just gonna press Control W. Control W is the shortcut to create a new polygroup. And as you can see now, I should be able to start working on this area without having any issue. Now the lips are very interesting. Actually, someone shared a, let me get it because it was a freaking amazing reference on the, was it on the Whips channel? I think it was in the Whips channel. Do you remember it, Sarn? Was it on the Whips channel? Like a couple of days ago. I think it was, oh, there we go. It's not here anymore. Oh, there we go. There we go. Perfect. So they share this. That's why you gotta join the Discord, guys. Look at this. This is great. This is gold. So of course those are female lips, right? Yeah, I found it. These are female lips, but the same principles apply to male characters. The only difference is that they're not as intense, right? So the amount of like fleshiness that we're gonna have is gonna be a little bit less. So you can see here on the corner of the lips, we're gonna have a little bit of a ridge. So I'm gonna carve in a little bit there to create that ridge. And then this thing, as it says right there, is going to be rolling in. So we're creating a little bit of volume there. And we got to be very careful because this is one of the tricky areas of the mouth, the corner of the mouth. I'm going to use my trim dynamic to kind of like flatten this a little bit more. And then on top of this like flattened stuff that I'm doing, I'm gonna add the volume. As you can see, the main, there's usually like a triangle here on the center of the mouth, kind of like a heart shape. And there's two like extra little bumps right here. And as you can see, there's a flat part. The Discord link, Sarna's gonna link it to you in just a second, and you can look for it on the Whips channel. They shared this a couple of days ago. Don't have the name of who shared it, but yeah, that's the cool thing about the Discord. Like, I'm answering questions as well, but there's a lot of people there that are really good as well. And you can get a lot of cool information. There we go. Cool. Now, something that I find helps quite a bit with lips is teeth. Like, knowing where the teeth are gonna be is also important for the position. And teeth are one of those things. I hate doing teeth, so I normally just reuse some of them. So here, the light box, there is the mannequin has some teeth. So if we go to the tools and we go to the demo head, got some eyes and teeth. There we go. So I'm just gonna delete the eyes, and we go back to our character. Subtool, append. We append this one. Yeah, that seems about right. Usually when it's gonna be difficult to say. But if you have your mouth closed, like with the teeth, like you're seeing there, and you open your lips a little bit, you should see more of the top side of the teeth than the lower side. So right around there, and that automatically like makes the whole thing look a little bit more interesting, right? There you go. So in studios, you do this a lot. Like when you already have like a set of teeth or like eyes and things like that, you reuse them quite a bit. There's absolutely nothing wrong with reusing this sort of stuff. You can see there's a lot of empty space right here. So we either move the mouth or we move the teeth. Okay, because we cannot have that much empty space right there. And I think, again, since he's a dwarf, we can what's the word? We can like scale this a little bit more. So I'm just gonna scale the teeth. Oh, let's center the proof point, and we're just gonna scale the teeth out. That way, the distance between the corner of the mouth, as you can see right there, and the first teeth shouldn't be that much. I might also go to the face right here. And with my move brush, again on a low subdivision level, so it's easier to get, we just push this in a little bit. Yeah, he now looks angry. There we go. And it seems about right. I think the teeth might be a little bit too far back. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So yeah, I think that's a good point there for the character in regards to like the main stuff. We even have the eyes. They're a little bit too far back. Let's push them forward. Some people like to sculpt eyes. I don't. I like to keep them clean. Should one include high poly renders in our portfolios? Feels a bit redundant. Yeah, it's a bit redundant, but it's fine. I've mentioned this before. Like, if you, for instance, if someone sends me a portfolio, character artist, and they have 5 pieces, and 4 of those pieces are full pipeline, so you see high poly, low poly, bakes, textures, everything, and then the 5th piece is just like a very cool concept on high poly, that's fine, because I know that if I ask that person, hey, I want you to like give me that character, that 5th character on a high poly, he could do it, because it shows on the other pieces, right? If you only show me 4 high poly pieces and 1 complete piece, I can question, it's like, oh, do you really know the pipeline, or are you just like good at sculpting? Because if you are only good at sculpting, then we might need to improve a little bit there, right? So it's a little bit of that sort of like effect. The border of the lips is usually a little bit ruggedish, so I'm gonna add a little bit of detail there. This is where the tablet is really handy. Let me move the microphone a little bit. I can really go here. Now, as you can see, we're already at 6 million, and we're missing geometry, right? Like, I can definitely see that we need a little bit more resolution. So this is where I would add a second or a new like level. So 27 millions now, and this is probably where I would stop. Like, I know we can go even higher. I don't think I have the RAM to be streaming and working at that high of a subdivision. And for the lips, as you can see, what I like to do is just add like stripes with my Damien standard, but don't make all of them straight. Like, go very subtle and kind of like layer them around. Okay. And you can see even ZBrush here is struggling to do the undo. Kind of like just some nice elements right here. To create like the skin texture, and that's a little bit too much even, so I would probably go there and smooth it out. There's usually some big ones and some small ones, sort of like details. Now we still got a couple of more minutes, like 40 more minutes, Mr. J, so you're welcome. If you have any questions, you're here. Artful Nerd is saying, as an entry-level 3D artist, is it necessary to have a near-perfect portfolio? No. Again, there's always levels, right? Like, people are always looking for different types of levels. Some studios, if they're hiring for like really advanced characters, then yeah, you need to have like a really strong portfolio. But if they're looking for a simple project, they might be looking for another type of artist. So like entry-level artists. You guys are usually going to find most of the positions available when a new studio is opening or when a new project is starting. Okay? So if I'm starting a new project and I need hands, right? I need people to work on the project. That's when you might have, or you might find most of the like the entry-level positions available. Because you have an idea of how many like environment artists you need, how many animators you need, and you're gonna need a little bit of everything. For like already established studios, it's a little bit more difficult to just like let's imagine. I'm sure Sony Santa Monica is working on their next game right now. I'm not sure if it's gonna be God of War or whatever, but they're definitely working or have been working on their next project right now. So they're not gonna be like hiring new junior artists right now because all of their artists are already working on something. They might hire some like mid-level or like senior level artists if they need a couple of extra hands on some important stuff. But it's very difficult that they're going to be hiring for a new position on a project that's already sort of like started. However, if they are going to start a new project, like Blizzard right now had a lot of layoffs, but probably in the next couple of years they're going to start doing some sort of new project. When that happens, that's when the junior and new positions usually open. What's the difference between junior and mid-level artists? A junior artist is usually someone that just got out of school, so he knows the technical aspects of how to create the different things that are needed on the studio, but he might not have all of the necessary knowledge to understand the full pipeline, right? And a normal artist, there's usually not mid-level, it's usually junior, artist, and then senior. Those are like the usual sort of like names that you are given. A mid-level artist or normal artist, he will also understand other parts of the pipeline, and it's just a little bit easier to explain or to work with someone like that. But even if you're a senior artist, when you get onto a new project, there's always going to be a little bit of onboarding. Like that has happened to me in the past couple of projects that I've been freelancing. There's usually like 1 or 2 days where they explain to you the pipeline, how they work, the kind of stuff that they want you to do, stuff like that. So even as a senior artist, you still get that sort of like stuff. I want to add a little bit of like scarring or lines here on the mouth. I'm gonna add some. Now this teeth, I'm probably gonna be changing this teeth later because I don't like when the teeth are all together like this. I mean, it's fine, it can work, but it's better if the teeth are separated. Again, doesn't make that much of a difference, but since I really want to make this character like cool, like really, really cool, I'm probably gonna be changing that later on. But as a sort of like placeholder, should be fine. What is the textile density in textures? That's a whole video that I can do, Anjana. That's a whole video. I actually should do a video because it's a common question. Textile density refers to how crisp the textures of an object are going to look in a game. And depending on how important, how close the object is to the camera and things like that, you want to make sure that the textile density matches. So imagine you have a human, like a normal size 2-meter human, and then you have a monster, right? Like a 4-meter tall monster. If you use a 4K map for the human and you use a 4K map for the monster, since the monster is bigger, his textile density is going to be lower because his surface area, the space that he occupies, is way, way bigger. Therefore, even though he's using a 4K map, same as a human, he's going to look more pixelated and more like low quality compared to the human. So you do the math and you figure out, oh, if he's 4 meters, he needs to have 4 4K maps so that he matches the same sort of like density as the human. That is textile density. Daisy Chains, welcome to the team and thanks for the follow. How to measure the height of the model inside of ZBrush. If you go to Z plugin and you go, well, let me say it first. So if you go to Z plugin and you go to Scale Master and you set scene scale, it's going to give you a bunch of numbers. So right now this is telling me, hey, this character is 9 units tall by 8 units wide by 3 units deep. And I can tell it, okay, those units should be what, millimeters, centimeters, inches, feet. Okay, so 9 feet is way too much, right? 9 feet is a lot. But 9 inches is too little. So in this particular case, there's no like specific one that works the way I would like, but this is telling me that these are the units of the character. Now another thing that you can do is, I'm gonna go here, see plugin. Right now, if I set this to centimeters, okay, and I create a 111 value here, I can create a 1 unit helper. And this cube right there, that's telling me that is a 1 by 1 by 1 centimeter cube. So that tells me that this character right now is very small. It's millimeters. It's like super, super small. So I would need to get it into Maya or something and scale it. I don't want to scale it right now because ZBrush works with this thing called like uniform scale. So if you are working with a really, really big like asset, like in real world scale, and then you dynamesh, for instance, it just like freaks out. It's like way too much resolution. You need to work with like 16 dynamesh resolution. So this one, since it started as a simple sphere here in ZBrush, it has like the ZBrush size. But eventually what you do is, especially when you do retopology, you scale this uniformly so that you can get a nice amount of size. Yeah, I like it, guys. What do you guys think? Did we made an improvement? I think so. Definitely need to fix a couple of the muscles here. Like the elbows are way too far out. But I think it's looking good. Gonna add a couple of extra wrinkles. Not super intense like what we had before. Just some stuff there. Kind of want to add or push the clavicles up a little bit more. And at this point, this it's pretty much all about polish. Like how much you want to clean the character and to polish it. Oh, the nails. We didn't do the nails. Let's do the nails. I think you guys are gonna like this one. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the basic shapes. I'm gonna go to a cube. As you can see, the cube has certain divisions. Now that we have these divisions right here, I'm gonna make this a polymesh 3D. Very important. I'm gonna rotate this. This is important. And the reason why I want to rotate this is because this pose right here, I don't like them as much. I'm gonna scale this thing down, like right around there. Now I'm gonna press W. I'm gonna go to the little gizmo here, and I'm gonna go to the bend curve. And the bend curve, I'm gonna add a couple of bends right there. With the bend curve, as you can see, we can bend this and create the sort of like shape that nails usually have. Now, of course, I'm gonna press X to do symmetry. There's another one. Let's not use bend curve. Bend arc. There we go. That's the one that I was looking for. Where is it? There you go. And we're gonna push this one right. As you can see, that gives us again the curvature that we would expect a nail to have, right around there. And that's it. Now I'm just gonna dynamesh this. I'm going to do a knife curve with symmetry. I'm gonna remove some of the corners like that, and also a little bit of the corners right here. I'm gonna use trim dynamic. Turn off polyframe. Let's smooth this out and just start creating the shape of the nail. Very important to remove, again with polish or trim dynamic, to remove all of the lines from the initial low poly object. Clean. There we go. Now we face the nail in such a way that it's facing us like this. And again, just go B, create insert mesh, new, and there we go. We now have a nail brush. So if we want to insert nails, we can do it. We need to have a placeholder here. So append, and we're just gonna append the sphere. That sphere is gonna be again like a placeholder sphere. And now with our nail brush, hey. There we go. So we insert our first nail. Of course, we're going to sculpt these nails later. We're just going to get a basic. There we go. And important here, as you can see, is I want the nail to overlap with the finger. Because if you have a lot of if it's very long nail and it's overhanging, then the retopology also becomes a little bit tricky there. So, second nail there. It's a very sort of like easy way to create nails for your characters. Let's see. A name that I cannot pronounce says, thank you for your tutorials. You're a very good teacher. Just by watching your videos, my skills are improving. Thanks for the video. I wish you many more views. Subscribers, you deserve it very much. Thank you, man. Thank you. I have a question about height maps. Like, if I use a stitch maps in Substance and then import it into Maya, the height map does some weird things. Yeah, you don't use height maps unless you're going to be using displacement. If you're not going to be using displacement, then height maps are going to just affect you. So normally, if I already have a normal map and it's for games, I'm not going to be using the height map. Height maps are for displacement, and you need to give subdivision levels to your object at render time. I have a video about displacement maps in Maya in case you want to check it out. There you go. This is one way to do nails. There's a lot of other ones. Is it bad to include online courses in your portfolio? It's not bad if you made it like really nice. The problem is a lot of times, and this happens a lot in like people that are Mustache 070, thank you for the follow, man. So it happens a lot on there's a lot of instructors out there that unfortunately they do their courses and they don't offer a lot of support for their students. So when you buy a course online and you don't get feedback, it's very difficult to know if you did it right or not. That's why I always answer my student questions on my Udemy courses. Again, public service announcement. If you have been watching any of my courses from Nextut, I'm no longer at Nextut, therefore I cannot see the questions that you sent to those courses. If you want to send me your progress or whatever it is, please go to the Discord channel and go into the Whips channel and you can submit it there, because otherwise, like, someone else is answering my questions. It's a little bit unfortunate that I don't have access to those, so I don't know. If you're getting feedback there, it's not me, it's someone else. The only courses I'm giving feedback are the ones under my brand, okay? So yeah, so if you are doing courses online and the instructor is not giving you feedback, it's very difficult to know whether or not you're doing it right. So if you place one of those works in your portfolio and it's not right, like, people are gonna know this, and there's no way for you to know whether you did it right or not. I wonder if ZBrush devs are planning on changing the interface. The software is excellent, but the interface is unique. Well, I mean, you can customize a little bit. And I don't think so. Unfortunately, when Maxon acquired ZBrush, a lot of the good people are no longer there. So until they see that Blender is really like and that's a problem with every like company that's on the top, right? Until they see that the competition is like on their toes or on their heels, I think is the proper word, they don't innovate as much. So right now they don't see the need to innovate. They won't innovate. There we go. I forgot to do it on the other side, but it's fine, because we can just mirror. So I'm just gonna mirror the other side, and these nails should look better. Now we need to go to the fingers and work a little bit on the nail bed. And this is one of those things that I can't share as easily on the daily videos on YouTube or on the shorts. Like, how much time have we spent on this? We've been working on this for like 2 hours, right? And it usually takes a long time to do characters. So if you're doing art, you need to understand that you need to spend time on it. Like, it's not easy to, what's the word? It's not gonna happen like in a second. You're gonna need to have to spend time working on your characters, working on your sculpting, working on everything to generate something cool. Just joined Rohan. You missed a lot, man. We've been doing this for 2 hours. But welcome to the channel. We've been working on ZBrush, we've been sculpting, we've been talking about 3D, the industry, portfolio tips, a little bit of everything. Remember, guys, every Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time, it's like Central US time, we're going to be streaming here on Twitch and on YouTube. Later on, we might have other like stream days, but for now, it's just Fridays. And you can jump on the Discord and on the different like social medias as well to follow us. Yeah, exactly. Art is not something to speedrun, Rohan. Yes, you need to be efficient. That's important. Like, I've had students that are really good, but they take forever to do their stuff. It's like, no, you do need to improve your efficiency. You cannot delve or dwell on something for a long time, because time is money. But again, like, you cannot expect to do everything as a speedrun sort of thing. That's the only thing that I don't like about my tutorials. And that's the fact that I would love to do, again, like a 200-hour, 300-hour tutorial, but no one's gonna watch it. So so I need to be very fast. So when I'm doing the tutorials, I'm way faster than I would do if I was working on a production. Like on a production, I definitely take my time. I think it actually worked on the last tutorial, on the Marvels one, because, for instance, the mask that we did it on several streams. It was like, I would say that prop took me like 15 hours probably to do, and you guys saw a lot of the process on the streams, and that was good because I was able to create a very nice looking prop, and I didn't have to rush it while recording the tutorial. And I think this is a good technique. Like right now, this is the guy that we're going to be using for the substance tutorial, for the final parts of the substance tutorial. So you're seeing how much time I'm spending on this guy right here, just to get it to work or to look nice, right? Let's add some detail on the nails. So nails have some texture, but we can actually sculpt a little bit of the I think it's called the moon or lunette or something like that. The nail bed right there. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of variation here on the nail itself, kind of like a banding. Couple of damage there. Look at that. Like, we can spend 30 minutes working on just nails. Anuval says, came here just to drop a like. I love watching streams on Twitch rather than YouTube. Gorehound. There you go, man. Thank you. Yeah, platforms are different. I mean, it's a good thing that now they allow like the multi-stream. If you're making it in ZBrush from scratch, I recommend scaling it after you're done. Like after you're finished with the high poly and you bring everything into Maya for the bakes or everything, that's when you scale. Because, I mean, you can scale it here as well. It's just a little bit messy. You can use the Scale Master tool, but as I showed you a couple of minutes ago, it's a little bit buggy sometimes, so it's not going to give you a nice number. So yeah, look at the difference from a cube all the way to a more sort of like refined nail. But it does take time. You need to spend the time on it. We also have some channels on the Discord that you can jump in. There's a ZBrush channel, like a voice channel. So if you feel lonely while working and you want to be talking with someone, drop there. I'm sometimes there. We got students over there as well. Saquen los tamales! Roadstar. Here in Mexico today, we usually eat tamales. It's the Candelaria. It's like a famous sort of religious party. Some people do it religiously, some people just do it for the tamales. Nicha wo kai Neka? I'm not sure it's Nicha or Neka. Or Ni Chawai Weban. Welcome to the stream, my friend. I'm telling you guys, names are complicated sometimes. And you know what the funny part about this whole thing is, guys? Like, we're spending 30 minutes sculpting these nails, and at the end, they might just have like 20 pixels of texture resolution. So, yeah. Sometimes we spend... That's another, like quick or efficiency tip that I can share with you guys. If you know that you're going to be working on a project that's going to be working with very low resolutions, or like mobiles or VR or things like that, you don't need to spend an incredible amount of time here on the sculpting stage, because a lot of that stuff's not even going to be seen, or you can just like solve it with a nice texture in Substance. So that's where like the experience. Someone was asking, what's the difference between a junior and mid and a senior level? Experience. So a mid level or a junior level might think like, oh, I need to spend 3 days and just a nail to make sure it looks perfect, and a mid level will be like, nah, just do a cube, that's fine, like we're just gonna texture it and that's it. Like, we don't need that much texture at the end, because the resolution of the map is gonna be low. So let's break this nail a little bit more. I'm gonna have like a very damaged nail. Gonna be this one. Of course, this is mirror, right? So both of the ring finger nails are gonna be damaged in this case. Finally, the pinky. You could, another option is you could create an insert brush with multiple like fingernails, multiple levels of fingernails, and that works as well. Aaron Pelado says, ¿algún consejo para alguien que quiere iniciar en el character sculpting? Saludos desde Venezuela. Sí, pues hay que aprender ZBrush, brother, no hay de otra. Saludos. Yeah, if you want to get into character sculpting, ZBrush is like the way to go. Like, sometimes when people ask me, oh, I just want to be a prop sculpture or prop modeler or something, I'd say, hey, maybe Blender is more than enough. You got some cool like sculpting tools in there, but for characters you need ZBrush. And we got the course. If you haven't checked it out, we got the Oni course. It's this one right here. ZBrush stylized characters, and it's all about characters. So first couple of chapters, it's about the tools, introduction to ZBrush, and then ZBrush tools, and then the next 4 chapters, or more chapters actually, we got like 10 chapters, there you go, are all about creating the character. So yeah, you might want to check that one out, man. All of my courses come with the project files, so that you can reference, and they include support, so you can ask the questions directly on the site. You can send me a message on Discord, you can post on the web channel. You can ask anyone here on the chat. Like, I'm a very present teacher. Like, I'm not gonna let you guys like on your own. I'm always helping people on the portfolio review, on the Discord. Like, I like to be there. My wife sometimes gets angry. It's like, oh, you should stop answering so many messages. It's like, no, I want to help them. But yeah, every now and then I need to step away from the computer or the phone and just live life. But yeah, like, I answer fast. Like, I try to always be there for you guys. Why do you have the dynamic view on? What dynamic view? You mean this thing right here? Or what is it? That's a myth. Mascot says, working on a game interested character art designer, how many tasks do you have besides sculpting? Do you handle the entire character process from sculpting to rigging? Not rigging, Mascot. Usually when I'm doing characters, it's high poly sculpting, retopology, UVs, texturing, sometimes a little bit of look depth on the materials, sometimes, not always, and that's it. Like, I just make sure that the prop or the character is working nice, and then someone else rigs it, and someone else animates it and everything. Hey, this is out of the blue, but how old are you, man? I'm 31 years old. I'm gonna be 32 this year, on August. I'm 32, 31... I was born in 1992. I've been doing this for 13 years. 14 years? 13 years. 14. 13. 2011. I started 3D in 2011. Oh, wow. No, made a mistake. hopefully this doesn't crash, because I'm mirroring the high poly. I was trying to mirror the nails and I made a mistake there. Please, ZBrush, don't die. Hope it doesn't die. Kesk. I want to do it. I want to do it. I mean, we had a save not too long ago, so that's fine. Yeah, I'm 32 years old. I've mentioned this before. I took a year of medicine before I decided to jump and change careers and become a 3D artist. Yeah, again, this happens often with ZBrush. It's fine. There you go. It recovered. It seems like it's recovering. On right side, dynamic orthographics. No, I don't have it turned on. I think it's off. I'm pretty sure it's off. I normally don't work with that one. Let's see, ZBrush dying. No, it's fine. See, it's trying to do its operation, but it's using a lot of memory. Am I lagging, by the way? I don't think I'm lagging. Let's free some memory for ZBrush to finish its thing. There you go. So now we're just gonna undo that. Is it fine? Let's see what I did, because I'm not sure what I did here. With this body, we don't need it anymore, so I'm gonna delete. Here. Looks like we lost a little bit of detail. I mean, it's not like horrible or anything, but anyway, let's go back to the nails here. And now these are the ones that I wanted to mirror. Oh my god. Delete those. Delete the sphere. We don't need. Once you have the first nail, you don't need the sphere anymore. So, cool. Artful says, I'm 31, bro, and I have started learning 3D a year ago. I left my job as a marketing manager. I always wanted to do this, but I also feel scared sometimes if I will get a good assignment. Yeah, so, I'm gonna give a more philosophical answer. I'm not like the guru or anything, but, I mean, we only got one life, right? So if you want to make a change, even if you're 50 years old and you want to start doing something, just do it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen, it's not going to work, and you just go back to whatever you were doing in the first place. But yeah, I mean, just go for it. You're not going to know, and it's similar to what we talked about before about failing. You're not going to know if you don't try. Of course, we never try with the intention of failing. But yeah, just do it. Like, we've heard so many success histories of people that went into acting, into writing, into painting, into business, into marketing, into everything, right? Like, at different stages on their lives. And the only way you're gonna know whether, like, if it's gonna work or not is if you try. So, try. Why does it blink when you move your viewport? This thing right here. Okay, so this is the reason why subdivision levels are so important. If you are not working with subdivisions and you're working with 27 million polygons on DynaMesh, for instance, it becomes very heavy for the computer. If you're working with subdivisions, what happens is when you're moving this, it goes back to the low subdivision and then it brings it back. That makes it a lot more performance, like it just helps with the performance overall. That's one of the reasons why working with subdivision levels is so important, because ZBrush does not think about the 27 million polygons all the time. You got a new question? No, I'm not seeing it, man. The last one is the set of skills, or at least that's the last one that I see. 11:37:6. Obno says, I've discovered 3D and its industry in my last year in civil engineering. Never regretted once changing area. Yeah, there you go. There you go, man. And yeah, that's the fun about life, right? Like, you learn about new things. Like, I'm gonna share 2 things that I'm learning right now, as like other things, right? I'm learning about writing, because I've always like liked books, reading, and stuff like that. So I'm learning about writing. I'm a complete noob about writing, but I'm learning like the ins and outs of writing. And I might write my own little stories in my own little books. Do I expect to be a bestseller? No, not really. But that doesn't mean that I can't do it and have fun with it, right? And I'm learning about drawing because I've always said that I suck at drawing. I'm really, really, really bad at drawing. So I want to get better at it. Am I going to be an illustrator and a concept artist? No, but I want to just like know the skill. Later in my life, at least when I get more money, I want to learn about blacksmithing. That's something that I've always been fascinating about, and carpentry or woodworking. So you're free to just learn stuff. Like I feel like in life we've always been bombarded with this thing of if you want to do something or if you're gonna do something, you have to be the best at that, and that's bullshit, man. Like you can learn so many things and just be proficient at it or just have fun doing it, and that's fine. Like there's no like skill police that's gonna come to your house and be like, you suck at this, you're forbidden from ever doing it again. Just have fun, just do it. Yeah, Mustache, I totally agree. Like when Dynamesh was invented, I was there on the dark days when Dynamesh was invented. We saw the marvelous things that you could do with it, and yes, like Dynamesh is freaking amazing, but performance is important, and that's why knowing about subdivision levels is important as well. C-spheres is another thing that a lot of people like don't use as much anymore, and I will die on this hill, but C-spheres are so good to get like some base meshes without having to struggle with proportions. Blacksmithing is cool. I've never done it. Like I've done a little bit of woodworking, like this. I'll make a tour of the studio soon. But there's like big things that I built. Like I suck at woodworking. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I at least like tried, and it works. I created big wooden screens for my soundproofing, and I enjoyed learning about like the basic things of it. So yeah, that's my view of life. Like if you want to do something, just do it. Like no one's gonna come to your house and be like, you suck, you're forbidden from doing it. so just take a risk, and hey, who knows, you might hit the jackpot and become famous doing that, or if not, you're just gonna have a nice experience. I like fantasy, Javier. That's pretty much what I like to read. Fantasy novels. Yeah, to be honest. Like I'm not a serious reader either. That's the thing. There's a lot of gatekeeping, right? In every single circle of hobbies and stuff. So I remember I once told an acquaintance of mine who is very into books. Is like, oh, what do you like to read? And I like to read a lot of fantasy, and I honestly like to read a lot of young adults like fantasy novels that are just light, entertaining, simple. Like I don't like to go with fancy stuff. And he was talking about like Dostoevsky and things like this. Like, oh, dude, that's like no, I don't read that. I'm not against anyone reading that sort of stuff, but he was like Kafka and just like more advanced, if you would say, reading. I was like, hey, I enjoy my reading, but the thing is, he was a dick about my likes and the things that I like to read. He was being like very rude about like, oh, you're not even reading. You can't consider yourself a book reader or a book lover if you're reading that sort of stuff. It's like, dude, come on. Yeah. Well, not Twilight. I like the Hunger Games. I didn't read Twilight, but I did read like the Hunger Games when I was younger, and I loved it. It was very cool. Right now I'm reading Brandon Sanderson, very famous, of course. Reading the Stormlight Archive. If you spoil something, I will literally ban you, so please don't say anything about it. I'm on the second book, but I've read a little bit about everything, but usually fantasy. Mystery novels are also cool. Mascot has a question. He says, what about clothing? Where do you think it's best made? Should I use ZBrush or Marvelous Designer? If you want to do basic stuff like a shirt or like a pants and things like that, ZBrush is fine. But if you want to do more advanced things, Marvelous. Marvelous is the way. I know that the subscription base, it's a little bit tricky, but what I do is I just subscribe for 1 month, do all of the things that I need to do, and then move on. You do need ZBrush to bring it back and add some details, some extra wrinkles and stuff. And I like the latest course that I released. That's Marvelous. So if you want to check it out, that's also over there. What are some of the advantages of using UDEMs over just multiple material ADs? It's just practical, more practical. Not every pipeline will be using UDEMs. It's usually more cinematic pipelines that you will use them. It's just practicity. Javier says, yo, I found him about 4 years ago, read through everything, then converted my brother and a close friend to being fans too. He's kind of polarizing for people that enjoy pay attention to prose and things like that, but I just enjoy the stories. Yeah, I like, I would say he's a light fantasy artist, right? Like, it's very accessible, especially for me. English is my second language, right? Like, I normally speak Spanish, so English as a second language, I've been like reading a lot in English for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, but it's just a lot lighter and easier for me to read a lighter prose, because I love Tolkien as well, but he's heavy. Like, you need to really focus and concentrate, and with Sanderson you can just like have fun and enjoy the story. Any advice on how to keep consistency with creating art while also working a full-time job? Sacrifice is my best advice. Like, you need to sacrifice. I'm guilty of that too. Actually, I do have an advice. So making art, like what I'm doing right now, like creating something, requires a certain amount of commitment. And some days you will not have that mental state. You might be very tired, or you might be very like tired is usually or stress or something, or have a lot of anxiety, and you won't have the energy to come here and do the work. My advice is try to every single day learn something about art. Sometimes you're gonna learn practically, like what I'm doing right here by working, but if you don't have the energy to do that, try to read a book about art, try to watch a video or a tutorial, try to watch a making of from a movie or a video game. Like, as long as every day you're doing something that gets you closer to your goal, you will be advancing. But if you don't do anything and you're just scrolling on TikTok or on Instagram and just watching like stupid shit, then you're just losing time. So my advice is, even if you don't have the mental strength to go to your computer and do some 3D stuff, try to learn about it. And once you get the energy to go back to your computer and do it, the things that you learned about are going to be more easily applicable to whatever it is you're doing. Yeah, that's very powerful, Anjana. Like, if you can draw your own concept and then getting into 3D, I did that, and we're going to be using that for the substance course. I drew my own sword design, and then I did it in 3D, and now we're going to texture it. So it is very cool. But again, that's my point. Like, you don't have to be the best freaking like concept artist or 2D artist. If you can just like get some lines on the paper and you understand what you're trying to do, and then you converted it into 3D, that's usually more than enough. How many hours a day would you recommend a beginner to practice sculpting? Are you studying right now, like at your school, studying 3D as well, or are you just like, or you're just learning this on your own? Would be my question, Ameth, because my answer will depend on that. Are you working a full-time? Like, it depends a lot on each individual case, but I would say if you can do 2 to 3 hours a day of 3D work, that's usually a good number. Like, that's about how much I do right now, and I've mentioned this before. As I've gotten older, my role as an artist has been changing from an artist position to a more sort of like lead role, where I lead other artists and I'm in charge of like the financials and the decisions of the business. So yeah, I don't get to do this as much as I used to before. So as long as you can get 2 to 3 hours, that's a good amount of time. Recently finished a book called Ubik by Philip K. Dick. Is it fantasy? Science fiction. Okay, interesting. I'm not a huge fan of science fiction, but I've read some, and I'll take a look at that one. Sci-fi fantasy. Oh, okay, cool. Nice. I'm studying 3D full-time, but in my free time, I want to focus on character. Yeah, in that case, since you're already studying, because you're already spending, or you should be spending a lot of time on your classes and your homework, I would say 2 to 3 hours. If you can do 2 to 3 extra hours per day, that's a good amount. Even 2 hours is good. Like, if you think about like high intensity athletes, right? Like basketball players, football players, they don't train for 8 hours a day. They would train for about like 4 to 5 hours, a little bit on the morning, a little bit on the afternoon, and they'll do maybe some therapy on the night. So that's the amount of time that they are like spending, and I would say that's a good amount once you're there. But if you're learning and you can spend like 2 hours per day, that's good. That's usually good. Oh, okay. So, well, that's it, guys. I didn't even know it was already 1:13. So we're gonna stop the stream right now, my friends. Okay, I'm gonna very quickly save this, And say goodbye to Dor, the dwarf, because probably the next time you see him, it's gonna be inside of our substance course with his full armor and everything, okay? So yeah, that's it, my friends. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being part of this community. Again, if you want to check our premium courses or our Discord channel, we're going to be leaving the links in just a second. And keep practicing, keep pushing. Remember our motto, always learning, always improving, okay? I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.